might.
And welcome to Portal Paranormal Talk Radio. I'm your host, Tuesday Miles.
And I'm Angela Thomas.
Hello, Angela. How are you?
I'm fine, Tuesday Miles. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for asking on that. Can you give our listeners where they can tune in at?
Certainly. Well, if you are listening to the show, you may also wish to visit our website at portaltalkradio.com to learn more about today's guest, Sid Schultz, who is the director of the Pasadena Paranormal Research Society. You may also wish to visit the virtual auditorium on paltalk.com under the social issues category to join other listeners like yourself in the Paranormal Radio Network room. If you would like to call and ask a question for our guest, you may call toll-free within the United States at 877-786-0562. Portal can be heard on AOL Radio, MSN Radio, BBS Radio, and Live 365, just to name a few. This show is also available on podcast.
Is that iTunes?
Well, there's a lot of podcast companies out there, so iTunes is just one of them.
Yeah, you can pick it up now on iTunes, too. And I was just told that if you type in Paranormal Radio Network, you'll be able to find us there also. So that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that exciting?
Making it easy for everybody to tune in and listen to us. Can't make you see the computer. Can't
driving down the highway.
Hey there.
Type us in.
That's right. That's right. Don't pull over. Don't get a ticket. So this week, what's been going on? I posted some new videos on MySpace.
I saw incredible Tuesday.
It was the ones that I had taken about a month ago in my home. And you can also visit MySpace at Portal Talk Radio if you want to find us there, too. You can find some blogs that we've been, I don't know, Angela doesn't put her hands in there too much, but, she's getting there. She's getting there. And anyway, so I loaded these videos, and I sent them to you, Angela. And what was your opinion on it?
Well, Tuesday, I have to say they were really fantastic. And I watched the first one, and then I watched it again and again, and I watched the other videos as well. And I have to tell you, what I saw was something that I had never seen before. And that was not only spirits, but spirits in locations. Odd, I know. But it was an incredible, series of videos that you had. So I highly suggest that you go onto the MySpace TV or Portal Talk Radio on MySpace and view them.
Well, the thing is that they're a little dark at first, and I noticed that if, of course, if you play them on Windows Media Player, and I actually put them on the slow-mo, they were, you could actually see the activity that's coming out of these, well, let's just call them portals at the time. We're not, we haven't diagnosed it yet, and I need to have somebody else actually diagnose it more than just myself. To me, it's not a good idea that if you're having some activity in your home, for you to be the person who is actually, investigating it. That's why we have all these great, wonderful teams out there. We have a great team, on today, Sid Schultz, which is the director of Pasadena Paranormal Research Society. But, the fact is to contact another team and let them come in, and give their opinions on exactly what it is. And you kind of build a relationship with these teams. The fact is they're in it for the long haul, whatever it takes for them to either help you or help the situation, for them to better understand what's going on. So, it's important that you do build up a relationship with the your investigation team, and pick the right one that's right for you.
Well, yeah, I agree with you there. Well, what in the world was the sphere shape on your steps that looked a little metallic? Did you ever figure that out?
Never could figure it out. Going back and, sweeping the area, making sure there wasn't anything on the steps that was, that could have, caught the eye of the camera that made it look like it was something else, Angela. Process of elimination on it. The other night I seen the same type of spirit come in, which leaves a really fizzly. Like, you look at it through my eyes. Now, mind you that I am a clairvoyant, and it could be that sometimes us clairvoyants, I was called you guys the other day, but, the clairvoyants in that aspect, they might be seeing something differently than the person with just a commoner eye. And don't write me hate letters, guys. I'm not calling you normal or, whatever it is on it, but the fact is there might be a difference there. What we're seeing might be different than what you're seeing. And so, here it is on that aspect. You need to take that in consideration, because it's like the thing is that I can stand there with my husband and say, "Do you see that? Do you see that?" He goes, "I don't see anything," and I'm like going, "Huh? Hello? How could you not see that?" Well, because I'm not clairvoyant. That's why. Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. So I have to remind myself that maybe not everybody could see what we're seeing. But in this case, though, being that some people, someone has said, "I'm not sure what I'm seeing." Well, to understand really what a portal does, and we've been out there and we've actually done some research on portals. It's very rare to get one on film where you can actually see, your ghost spirits coming through it, and what the characteristics it is that brings with it. We could use more study on it, and hopefully with this video that I have, that we'll be able to do that on it. And some they're going to be skepticals out there. That's fine. Be skeptic. I like that. On this one, it's kind of hard, to be one, actually.
Well, I agree with you there, Tuesday. But, at least people can go and view it, and I agree with you about one may view it and see something different than others.
Right.
So, but fantastic. Good job. Good job.
But there's a catch-22, though, on that, Angela, because, here it is. I'm living in the house. and thinking to myself, oh, my gosh, are these spirits really coming in my house? Well, it didn't look like they really were. I mean, they were at one point, but it looked like to me that they were transferring from one portal into another. And maybe these are dimensional portals. The fact is they're here, and they didn't really notice me. I don't think the fact is that they have picked my house because of me, or my house. I don't think that's the case. I think that if we do more research on this, that we'll find that there's some sort of energy line, that there's, that there is caused from that. I did some research, and I have to actually want to talk to Sid more about this, because he won't take credit for the whole thing, but I'm going to give him credit for some of it. But he really wrote an excellent article and posted it in a blog on MySpace, and it really talked a lot about the EMF and what it's about. And I spoke with an expert on EMF earlier this week, because I really wanted to know more about it. I wanted to know the fact is that what is the difference between the electrical and the magnetic fields on this. And interesting enough, I got a really lot of information from him. I did not know that the ground, the soil itself, can host a lot of magnetic energy. And I wasn't aware of that. There's certain things that I also wasn't aware of, that, our electrical poles will put out enough energy to, light everything we need, or to generate every appliance we need. But whatever's left over actually returns back to the pole and goes back to the source station. Well, when your pipes and your water lines on it, what I didn't know is that, of course, we're all connected. Each block is connected to one main water line. And if those water lines are not grounded, then instead of that, the extra energy that you have that's supposed to return back to the pole, it could return to the next door neighbor who's not grounded, increasing the amount of energy that they're getting through their home. Are they going to be charged extra on their bill? No, that's not what it's about. It's the magnetic field on it. And so we're still not sure if that's what this is. So it's just in the beginning of a different type of investigation resources that we're going to lean towards.
Well, now, I understand that you are going to have the plumbing grounded this coming week, so be sure, Tuesday, to share with us next week about, if there is less activity in your home or the same, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, Angela, it's been really hard to, at some point for us to, research, to document it, because it's so erratic. I have a family life too. Besides just, being involved with the paranormal aspects of the stuff. So, it's like when we all have time. Just about everybody who's on a paranormal team has an outside life. They have families, they have jobs. So this is the stuff that they take their extra time in, and going out to help other people with, who are experiencing some type of paranormal phenomenon.
Well, and that's something I wanted to bring up, though, Tuesday. Some of those paranormal investigators, do hold other jobs, because, after all, it's not a field in which it pays a lot of money unless you have, a lot of volunteers and donations coming in. But there are quite a few now that are taking it to the professional level, and that's all they do. They travel within their country, and they go from site to site to site. Some may charge the place, the people that they are going to investigate, or they may bring in the dollars in another, way, shape, or form. But the thing is that, it's going from hobby to professional.
Well, I think that every team out there, not only, they want to have some fun with this. It's exciting and fun. But they really do take on this as very serious. If they want to get any kind of type of credentials, on doing their work, they get seriously on it. And they're not, I want to say that some teams might be territorial. But basically, really, though, they're really open to have anybody who's in this field, that takes it seriously, to share their ideas, share their findings. I mean, that's what this is all about also. Is if we don't compare notes, then how can we tell what the difference is? I mean, maybe the state of California is having, a lot more hauntings than in the state of Kansas. I mean, there's, if we don't compare the differences on some things, then, how do we know? But, then again, too, I think history has a big part of this, Angela, and I think that is important on a team, having a team member that does a lot of research on the land.
Well, I agree with you. Well, perhaps one of these days there will be a large database with nothing but paranormal information that various teams have input that information into, and so anyone out there that belonged to that database could type in and query that and get the information they need to know to save them time when they do reach that destination.
Well, I know that they do have, some sites that have all the links that you can find in every state that lists the paranormal investigation teams that are there. A lot of times they don't always last. It's very hard on the family and the family members sometimes too, and actually out-of-pocket costs, because most of them don't charge anything for their services. So, and they don't last. I mean, the cost of equipment alone, and Sid Schultz is going to go over the equipment that actually, that he's using, and maybe some of what others are using, and explain a little bit about it. But it's not cheap. It's not cheap for this.
No, I can imagine. Well, Tuesday I heard something a little bit disturbing this week, and I want your opinion on it. And those listeners, which are in the virtual auditorium, and those that like to email us, give us your opinion. But I heard last week that there is a possibility that the Bellevue Asylum, that was an asylum for the insane in its day, may be turned into a hotel.
That's insane itself.
It is insane. That's why it's disturbing. So I would like to know from the listeners, would you pay to stay in an active haunted hotel that was once an insane asylum? Because Bellevue was very large, but it also had a huge reputation. So, we see these movies and older books, and Bellevue, when an insane asylum is mentioned, generally they say, okay, it's Bellevue. So Bellevue has a large reputation, but the activity there, you can just imagine. And what kind of information, I'm going to have to ask Sid this, has any paranormal investigator received when they have visited asylums in the past? Has anybody gotten any new information? Are the variables different than when they go to a historical site? The behavior, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, of the spirit. Do those spirits of the insane act insane because they are earthbound, or what? So it just leads it into a big, incredible wonder.
Well, we hope that the fact is that once we leave our body, that our insanity doesn't follow with us. You know that, Angela. We'd hope the fact is that.
Well, I agree with you. I think that we are restored, but for those that have not completely crossed over, that are stuck, in the ethers, they're stuck, or they're stuck here, they're earthbound. Then I don't believe that. Their behavior is any different than it was when they were living.
Now, you and I last night attended an event online.
Yes.
And we watched Patrick Burns.
Mm-hmm. Very
interesting. At the Wolf, I think it was, I have to look it up again.
It's the Wolfman Show.
Wolf Mountain. Well, they call it the Wolf Manor, I guess it was on it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, that was the Wolf Show is what it was called. And where Patrick Burns sat in, or actually toured this manor for 5 hours. He was in there for 5 hours. We didn't stay for the whole 5 hours, but I did go back and check on the last 30 minutes that he was there.
Right.
And very interesting, very noisy. It was very noisy. You know, I mean, how could you not be quiet? Because the fact is that they have a large road out front, you know, that has lots of cars traveling, a highway out front that has lots of cars traveling back and forth.
Certainly.
But, you know, he was using, when I caught him, when I went back in to catch him, he was just finishing up using some of his tools, and he was just trying to get the Frank's box out. You know, the listeners are there. We're trying to, you know, ask him to hook that up, and he went to go, he had brand new batteries in it, and of course, by the time he got it out, the batteries were already drained, and I thought,
Certainly. Well, that seemed to be an ongoing problem, that the what do you call them, walkie-talkies, the batteries would drain almost within a minute or less. They replaced it with new walkie-talkies, and the batteries in that just immediately drained. But I have to give Patrick Burns a lot of credit, because, you know, Tuesday, the manor that he was visiting last night and investigating had thousands of people that died there, and that was due to it being utilized as a hospital for those that were incurable. So they, you know, like a hospice setting, but only in a hospital environment.
Right. Well, you know, they gave him these walkie-talkies, of course, and, you know, he got quite nervous. You could tell he got quite nervous because he was in there alone besides the cameraman that was with him. I mean, there wasn't any investigators, you know, intuitives or anything, you know, with him. And so he kept checking, you know, checking in, you know, calling. And I guess it was Todd, his name was Todd, wasn't responding back. And so he's like, okay, well, you know, I mean, that just kind of makes him a little bit nervous on it. But, you know, I put my headphones on to listen better to the sound with him because, you know, you could hear the clinking and clanking of everything. And the one part where he got to these one stairs or that he was going down, if it was stairs or a ladder he was going down, he had, the cameraman actually had slipped, but I heard a man in the background saying, "Get out." So I'm just wondering whether or not that cameraman was pushed or not, because he did lose some of his equipment, and on the floor it fell. So, you know, I'm just wondering. And I could hear better with the headphones on, you know, some EVPs. I could hear some women in the background moaning, or maybe a little bit of a very distant scream out of her. You know, but it's very interesting. And we'll post the site on Portal for you guys. You can go look at it yourself. You can go back to their archives and look at the video film. It's very interesting, you know, and especially to attend a live event where they're investigating something right there on the spot, that you don't have to, you know, it's not after the fact. It's right there when they're doing it and stuff. So
yes, I found it to be rather exciting, you know, just sitting there on the edge of my seat, wondering, okay, when he enters that next room, what's going to pop out, or, you know, what new is going to take place. But I have to ask you, Tuesday, would you, as a professional investigator, go into a place that is where there's known activity by yourself?
Sure.
You would?
Sure. Well, if there was somebody on the outside, I mean, that's crazy. That's, you know, first and foremost, you don't ever go do anything by yourself. I mean, only by yourself. You've got people at least on the outside there for you, and you have communication with them. You know, I never would suggest to have anybody do any of the investigations on their own.
See, I wouldn't either. Too many things can happen.
Yeah, the buddy system always, on anywhere, even cemeteries. You know, that's crazy for you to even put yourself out there for that. You know, you never know. You know, you get a pushy ghost around you. I mean, it's kind of hard for you to swing back, you know.
That is so true. So true.
You know, so
well, you know, the cemeteries in New Orleans, and I used to live in New Orleans, are visited quite a bit, and some of the old cemeteries have to be locked up at night because there's a lot of people who practice voodoo and, of course, have vandalized, you know, a lot of the graves, which are, you know, the dead are buried above ground in New Orleans. And so, you know, I wish, though, that there would be a little bit more investigations going on in some of those cemeteries in New Orleans because of its historical value.
Well, you know, I mean, here's the thing is that, you know, you will never catch a paranormal investigator ever being disrespectful at any of the places that they investigate. That's first and foremost one of their, you know, their creeds of the trade is that they are always respectful at any place that they go to, which I think is, you know, I mean, we all respect that rule. But here you get these other, you know, whether they're kids, teenagers, adults, whatever it is, that go in, and they don't respect it. They go in and they turn these headstones upside down, you know, and they make a mess out of the place. And how disrespectful, you know, to the people who, you know, to the bodies that are there. You know, mind you, we know that their spirits aren't there, but the fact is the bodies are. And it's supposed to be a place of sacred grounds for that aspect of it. I mean,
Well, it is sacred grounds. But, let me ask you, when you were growing up and you were speaking about the dead, were you asked to whisper?
yeah, you were asked. Yeah, that's true. You
were asked to whisper because they did not want the spirits to hear you talking about them. Now, some of these people would deny there being any kind of paranormal or ghost activity in their homes or elsewhere. But at the same time, they would say, shh, shh,
yeah,
Uncle Joe
will
hear
that.
You. Right?
Right.
Does anyone remember that?
Yeah, absolutely.
For those who are old like myself.
Right. Well, the fact is, too, it kind of, I mean, it is, I mean, it made me more afraid was I wasn't supposed to talk. Like, oh my gosh, if I did talk, is there going to be, a ghost going to come get me? I mean, that was the fact as a kid. But, I think it's just basically really, it's just out of respect. Or the fact is, can they really hear us? Can they hear us, Angela?
Absolutely.
I mean, if you're talking to a ghost, can you look right at a ghost and talk to it? Do you think they're going to hear you?
No. Now, see, we want to differentiate between the ghost and a spirit. A ghost has no idea that you are even around.
Okay.
And I know that you have shared with me some activity outside of your home where you have seen, let's say, the woman by the stream.
Okay, so is that an imprint? That's an
that's an imprint, and it's a ghost. But they are not aware of you, and therefore they cannot and could not communicate with you at all. But a spirit, however, has intelligence, and they have the ability to communicate. And so a spirit, yes, can hear. Now, how many times have we seen programs and movies, and I'm sure within, some of your peers out there in California, that, a spirit will come and say, yes, Mary or Joe, I am very much aware that you are getting married next week. Or I was at your wedding, or I was at the baby shower, or I was at the hospital for the birth of our grandchild.
Okay, yeah, we were talking about this earlier, right.
So the thing is that the spirits are aware, and yes, spirits can hear you. Now, are they 24/7 hanging around one individual? No.
I don't know about that.
But there's an emotional draw that spirit, that emotional connection to various individuals that they loved and cared for while they were living here on Earth.
Okay, so there's the difference. The difference is between the ghost and the spirit. Now, the imprints and the residual are different also, too. The fact that the imprints and the residual is the fact is it's just like an imprint of energy. It's like you put your hand in the sand. When you put your hand up, you see your imprint still there, your hand. Right? Okay, and that's left there. Of course, if it's undisturbed, it's always going to be there.
Right.
Same with if a tragedy. The tragedy happens so fast, so horrible, sometimes what it does is it leaves an imprint of that energy there, that tragedy there. And therefore, that when you're going there and people say, well, we've witnessed, sightings of a spirit there or ghost there. Well, but when we approached it, it didn't notice it. That's because it's not really the essence, it's not really the ghost itself, it's the essence and the energy left there from that ghost or spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what you get your imprint from. Now, the residual energy is something, the fact is that it does have characteristics. It does have, we have noticed that it does acknowledge us. But the fact is that it's not what caused it there. It's what the event or the negativity that went along with it. But that, in its case, though, it might not be that the actual person who was living before that was there that created the residual. So, but it's shown that, or it's been documented that, a lot of times when we call them residual hauntings, that other spirits and ghosts are very drawn towards that, and it increases the activity on it.
I know. Isn't it amazing? And I have both ghosts and spirits in the house.
Now, see, when you say that as ghost, the fact is that that's earthbound ghost. I mean,
yes, I believe that it's earthbound, and and I say I believe because I have not seen the ghost in the house. The spirits, yes. The ghost, no.
Okay.
But I believe I've shared with you before about the grandson that came here for summer that had no idea that I, am a psychic or that I deal with anything paranormal whatsoever. I didn't want to spook the young man. But, when he shared his story with me, one thing that he said very adamantly, the reason why he wasn't as upset as I thought he should be, is because he said that the man did not notice him. So it was a full apparition, but did not notice him at all, did not look his way whatsoever.
Huh.
So I know that that one is in the home.
Okay.
The spirits, however, they can touch and communicate and do all kinds of things.
Well, now, mind you, now, let's get back to that word earthbound, because really, though, a lot of teams are getting away from using that terminology, earthbound. And I know that, my good friend Peter James, he didn't like using that word either, earthbound, because he felt that we were all earthlings. We're from Earth, therefore we can't be earthbound because we never left it. So there's that big, breakdown of that terminology of earthbound nowadays, that they really are getting away from calling them that, and might be calling them a discarnate spirit.
Really?
Mm.
Well, we're just going to have to get up to date on some of
well,
those, the lingo within the paranormal community.
Right. Well, we can ask Sid what his opinion on that, what he thinks that is too, on it. I like Sid. Sid is a believer, and he's an excellent science researcher. I think he is. He puts a lot of science aspect into his cases. But I also feel Sid's a little skeptic on a lot of things too, on it. So which is good. I think he's got a variety, on him. So we'll have to ask him.
Well, definitely. And I think it's healthy, though, to be skeptical of certain areas within the paranormal. But at the same time, if you are a scientist and you are, conducting an investigation, and I say investigation, I should say investigations, plural, because most scientists will do several investigations and just have like a control group or change up the variables with one group or with one place, and that way they can truly, truly document the changes, if any, that are occurring.
Well said on that aspect on it.
Mm-hmm.
We have some announcements that I want to get off my chest first before we get any further, and we don't get through them today on it. A couple things is, of course, condolences goes out to Chris Fleming and his cat. He had to put his cat down yesterday, and this is the thing, about animals. And of course, I found out this morning that my sister, who, poor Valentine, she had Valentine, which was an Australian sheepdog, for 15 years, and had to put her down yesterday because of some tumors that had ran all through her body. She was suffering greatly. But, the thing is the loss of an animal can be just as heartfelt as if it was just your own child.
Certainly.
The companionship that these animals give to you, the unconditional love that when, you're gone and they come home, no matter what it is, they're so glad to see you. And, Chris spoke about in a blog about how when he was holding his cat and they were, giving this cat its last shot, and that he could feel the cat just slip right through him, and he felt that this cat wasn't alone. He felt there was another maybe male presence in the room that maybe was guiding this cat over to where it needed to go. Cats have spirits just like dogs do, and is there a special place that they say that once an animal crosses that rainbow bridge that they go into this, special meadow? That's what we all want to think. The fact is, we hope so, because they deserve just as much as a resting place as we do on it. But it's in its sense, it's very, traumatizing to the owner, and it's losing somebody that you've spent a long time with in your life, and you've included as a family member. But I noticed, I went searching because I wanted to do, find a dog place or cat place or whatever it was, an animal place, to do a little memorial for them. And I found the most cutest place here, and I want to give them the link of it because I just think it's very sweet. It was created by a woman who had lost an animal herself, and it's www.in, and that's a dash, memory-of-pets.com. And you can go in there and you can put the animal's name in there and the day it died. You can put your name as the owner of the animal, and a picture if you want to. And they do this really sweet web page on it. With a candle lit with roses around it, and it says in love and memory of your animal. Mm-hmm. And the date. And so, I got all mushy there for a second, just seeing that. But I just think it was really special for them, and the fact of it is that they are spirits too. So our condolence goes to them. And we need to have some healing and prayers go out to our good friends, Marty and Michael. Marty has pneumonia, and she's been really, really sick. So, if you can just stop a minute from what you're doing right now and say a prayer for them. Of course, add Michael in there because he's the one that's taking care of Marty, and God knows is that, he needs just as much prayers, too, to give him some strength to help her on it. And, that's all good on that. And we have a couple new guests that, are coming up that we booked. We booked Jeffrey Wands.
Amazing.
Now, I'm so excited. I like Jeffrey Wands a lot. He is, he's on the Maury Show. He's on the Maury Show, mind you that Maury Povich. He's the resident psychic for this TV show. But, this is the thing, is that people, I really would like to see Jeffrey's name really get out there more and more, because Jeffrey is, he is such an awesome medium. This guy, his credentials and his credibility on what he does is amazing.
Well, and when is he coming up? Tuesday?
He is going to come up. Now we booked him. Oh, I have to get my calendar out again. Oh, gosh. We've had so many people booked lately here on it.
Yes, yes. In fact, we're almost at the end of the year with our guest.
I know it. He is booked for June 9th.
Wonderful.
June 9th, in the same month as Derek Acora.
I know.
Derek Acora is going to be on there in that month also, too. But, we are. In fact, we have a new series coming out that we're doing. It's called the Portal Paranormal Talk Radio Freeway Ghost Hunter Series. And what we would like to do is go each state and bring on a team that has not been, maybe not on the radio or not been recognized for the work they do, and allow them to share what they do and maybe some new ideas that they've come up with. And so we're going to be doing that. We've got quite a big response from it so far. So if you want to recommend a team that's who notice has done some exceptional work, that send us an email at Portal Talk Radio or info at Portal Talk Radio, and let us know about them so we can send them an invite for the show.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely amazing to, recognize those investigators out there that have really sacrificed time and money to help those with the paranormal activity. Because, imagine, Tuesday, because, you've gone through it, I think many people have gone through it, where suddenly they feel either, A, I am crazy, or I am so fearful. I can't sleep, I can't eat, I cannot function. And I can't talk to my friends and family about what's happening to me.
Yeah.
So imagine those investigators not only investigating, but I think many of them become counselors and advisors for, those individuals out there going through this.
Well, Angela, this is the thing about it. You're right. Who do you talk to about it? All of a sudden you're feeling something strange. It starts off with the energy. Just something's not right. And then you feel somebody start touching you. And, how alarming to turn around and you think, all right, am I insane about this? Because, I'm actually feeling something touch me, but I don't know what it is. But, the fact is that, who do you talk to about? And it really goes on for quite a while till finally whether they mention it to another person, they say, well, maybe you should call a priest. Or maybe you should call, something of your church to help you.
And most priests will come in and bless the house.
Most. Don't always depend on that, though, Angela. That's something that is, you have to find the right ones that would actually do this for you.
Certainly. I think that it does take some time to find the right priest that is sincere and who will come in there and truly bless the house and have enough faith to make things happen.
Well, sometimes you just, whether you maybe not even disclose what's going on with them, just have them come out and ask them, because they do charge to come out. If you're not a part of their congregation, you're not a member of the congregation. And what I mean by member is that, you're not attending there and donating all the time, because you do have to sign up for a lot of these churches to be a member of the church anymore.
Certainly.
And, besides that, set that aside, that they do charge to come out and bless your home. Okay, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. If that's, if it helps earn money for their congregation, that's fine. But sometimes that they want you to go through this mental checkup before they even come out if you've mentioned that you might have ghosts.
Well, yes, but, don't you believe that that's a healthy way? Because not everything is paranormal. We've discussed this on the show.
Right.
You particularly have said normal before paranormal.
Right. And every time I do.
And so, I get a lot of phone calls and emails, just like you do, with various accounts, and certainly Pal Talk The Pal Talk community has a lot of stories to share as well.
Yes.
And some of those stories, you have to stop and say, okay, that it's not, what's really happening is not paranormal. It's really with that individual. And so we have to be very cautious and careful when advising anyone or giving a name or a recommendation to see a professional. But I do believe that individuals should at least look into that area before, seeking a priest or a spiritual cleanser or a psychic. And I'm not saying do that before you call in the psychic and blah, blah, blah. But I am saying that in many cases it is indeed some mental illness, or maybe someone has been stricken with some kind of illness and they're feverish and they're delusional and et cetera, et cetera. So,
Sid Schultz, who's the director of Pasadena Paranormal Research Society. I have a tongue twister in there for some reason when I say that. I was just mentioning earlier that he wrote that article. Now, something of the EMF too, and we're going to ask him about this, can also affect your mental status. So, that's very interesting in itself. And I'm thinking to myself, oh gosh, if here it is. If this is the whole time that all this stuff that's going on around me is mental, I quit because can the mind really convince you of something that might not be there?
Yes, I think the mind can convince you that something is there when it truly is not. And of course, we have psychiatrists and mental professionals, health professionals that are helping thousands of people across the country and throughout the world with that very thing. The one thing is, though, Tuesday, you know yourself that it's not your imagination, simply because you have been thorough in your documentation,
yeah,
in your videos, as well as your photographs. And, I've seen quite a few of your photographs. Absolutely amazing.
Oh, well, had I not had that, though, Angela, and had I not been, thoroughly going over everything, process of elimination really is that, this is the thing with it on it. I wanted proof for myself, actually, but see, then again, we can only do so much proof, and the fact is that even the extra stuff, it sounds ridiculous to myself even as I talk about it, and sometimes, when investigation teams go in, now this is a case I've seen several times, is that here it is, a person is experiencing a lot of activity, and they're in their own home, they've got their family members that live there too, activity goes on nonstop. A team comes in, they find nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And, and that's why I would say sometimes when we have these larger teams and all of them come in at once, you think the ghosts are going to hang around? No, they're going to scatter. They're not going to, until they get used to you coming in, until they feel comfortable about it, they will scatter, so they're not getting any proof. And it took, I think it took probably about the third or fourth team I had come in that finally they were able to get more and more proof because of the fact. And I had to actually yell at my husband, stop cleaning. You have, these people don't care about what your house looks like. You clean, they know that I'm having people coming over.
Right.
They know exactly what you do. So you have, we need to act like it's like another day, that we're not having another team coming over. And mind you, the fact is, you talk about it on the phone, they can't hear you. They know, they've got intelligence. We know that. We know that there's intelligence with us when we die. So, that has a lot to do with it also, too. And you have to be your own advocate on this sometimes also. If you want proof and no one has been able to give it to you, you have to step up to the plate, too, a little bit.
Well, I agree with you. But, just think right now, a new listener listening to our show and hearing this for the very first time, that the first thought is going to be, wait a minute here. Perhaps this person is losing their mind,
Sure.
or slipping away, or exaggerating.
Right? Oh,
and
true.
so how do we get rid of that impulse to label someone as crazy or abnormal when we speak about the paranormal?
The respectfulness that these investigators put out there, Angela, I have never once heard them say anything like that about a house or a place that they've investigated. They're very private about the person's information that they do. That's a lot of times is that you don't see on their sites, a lot of the information about the investigation because of the privacy that they give to their clients, and which is completely respectful. I think that's, an excellent way of conducting business when you're doing this. The fact is that they, even though that they didn't find anything, and the team talks amongst themselves that, well, maybe this person's having a little bit of some, mental issues there. They even sit down and talk with the person and say, why don't you just do this? And they keep it very private, and I think that's a good thing.
So I do as well.
It's respectful to, to anybody that's out there, and so you won't find them. You won't find them talking about that stuff. You'll ask them, hey, how'd that case go? And they'll say, well, it's still open. And they'll just leave it at that, on it. And so, I think that holds a lot of credentials for the teams itself is by doing that. But when you mentioned earlier about a site that's this way, that they don't have to disclose the people who they're working with or any of their information, but just disclose the type of findings or the type of energy that they found there or exactly what it was doing, and that kind of cuts it away from them, going over that boundary where they're disclosing any of that private information. I know that there was an investigator out there, and we talked about Lorraine Warren, and mind you that she's there's the godfathers of the paranormal. Well, she's the queen of them. She's the eldest. I think that she's probably at this point right now the oldest living paranormal investigator that's been out there. And so, although Lorraine's and her husband Ed's work has been questioned over the years many times, the fact of it is that they still have a lot of good cases they've worked on and helped a lot of people. But on one case there was some information that she disclosed about the investigations way back, and she's being sued now. So, it's that final line on there. You just don't want to cross it.
Well, I think that, for those people that are getting themselves involved in any sort of paranormal investigation, I know personally I will have a release form signed.
I think most of them do on that. On it, I know I have some paperwork here at my house that I we'll go over with them and have them fill out, on that case. But, I haven't been doing as many cases, on as what I used to. I do have some, quite a few underneath my belt, but I've just been, I've been working with the radio and doing some other things. And so, and I do have people that, on some teams that call in, and, I'm not sure, and we'll have to ask Sid this, is paranormal investigation teams getting away from using the sensitives there, the psychics on their site with them? I know there was a comment made to me one time when I was helping from afar, but they didn't want me to go with them to the site because I bring ghosts with me.
Well, I've never thought about that, Tuesday.
And so they didn't, here it was, they couldn't difference the fact that it's me and my ghosts are with me because, whatever it is, whatever we have a light bulb on top of my head or I've got these vibrations, these frequencies, whatever I carry with me, draw ghosts around me. And so when I'm at a location, they have a tendency to come and congregate around me. So they couldn't tell the difference between if it was the house that had it or if it was me. I hurt my feelings.
Well, I have to say, I believe that psychics are essential. They bring that investigation full circle. Because, think about an investigator out there with equipment and documenting EMF and energy and temperature changes, et cetera, et cetera. The thing is that they are not able to tap in and communicate with that spirit as you would. And the thing is that there could be a lot of historical facts or something of value that a psychic can bring in where that investigator can take that information and run with it.
That'd be true. I agree with you.
So, I'm sure that, God bless them, those investigators that do not wish to use any kind of sensitive or intuitive. But I think the ones that do use psychics are the smart ones.
Well, I don't want to put them in that category as being on that aspect, though. You're right, Angela. I agree with you on that. But I also see their other point of view on this, too. Knowing the fact is that, maybe the psychic can't be used the first a couple times and bring them in later. Is the psychic a part of having a solution to the problem that the people are having? Does it create more problems? So, it's that catch-22 on it. But, overall, in a good sense, we've got a great guest that's coming on in a few minutes. And could you give out Sid's website for us, Angela?
No, I can't.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, I can. It's PasadenaGhostHunters.com.
There There you go. And he's also MySpace too. Actually, you can find that underneath MySpace. And they went out to go see. They were actually on a ship, the PP. Well, it was the Hornet. I think it was the Hornet. Is it the USS Hornet? I know this is in our virtual auditorium, and you can actually join us on Pal Talk in there if you'd like to. It was the Hornet. Is that in San Diego? Sid, where's the ship located? I know that you can't hear him, listeners, but I'm reading his response in our virtual auditorium. So where's the ship located at?
Speaking of ships, I am wondering whether or not the USS Indianapolis has any sort of memorial or any kind of, activity around the survivors of that.
I don't know. I have to say that it's in Altadena. Oh, it's in Altadena, California. Okay. I don't know a lot of history about that. Me and Ghost Ships are the only ones that have got the Queen Mary on there. And, we've got a few minutes left before we actually go to break and bring on Sid. But, interesting enough, and you and I were talking about this the other day about, the Queen Mary had two morgues. The one morgue, which is very small, is actually located on the same level of the ship as where the pool area is. And then what they did is, because that was so full, there's a dining room, a banquet room, that's right directly straight across from where the pool area is. Oh. And it's a huge, huge room. And they also, because there were so many deaths of these servicemen on the ship, that they had to turn that into a morgue. Oh. And so, being that just, and I'm just wondering, is the activity, I see a lot of investigators always in that pool area, but do they understand that straight across the hall right there, and it's a humongous banquet room, that was the morgue there?
I'm sure that many investigators are not aware of that historical fact, though, Tuesday. I'm sure they say, okay, here's the pool area, and that's it.
Yeah, well, they need to look across the hall because, there's a lot of activity in that banquet area, too, also with the ship. I know that I was walking through the ship with Peter one day, and he had taken me in there, and he'd tell me the story behind it. And I said, I did not know. And then went on to show me where the morgue was. And I have to say, though, Angela, going into that morgue room was awful. Oh, it was awful. I mean, you could just feel, you know how you walk into a place, you can just feel death everywhere. And that's just exactly how it felt there. But, they're doing some more and more things. They're doing more events at the Queen Mary, I noticed. And so hopefully that the Queen is going to be able to make a little bit more money for them. They really need the support of everybody down there to bring some more money on the ship. It's just got a lot of problems, and in order to save the ship, to keep it here where it's at, we really need to increase the visitation.
So you should say, let the listeners know where the Queen Mary is located.
Long Beach, California. It's located, and you can stay on the ship. It's got a hotel there. It's got all kinds of places you can dine at. There's a lot of other attractions around it. But it's the historic stories behind the ship are it's amazing on it. But I also mentioned this real quickly. We have a couple minutes left. I was speaking to Patrick Burns, and I would say it was back in February when they had the last event with Darkness on the Edge of Town there with Dave Schrader, that I said, has anybody, whether you have a belief system or not with salt has been used for, as long as I know in history. In a biblical sense, with the Wiccan pagan belief system, with the paranormal, psychics, whatever. And the fact of it is whether it's used as a cleansing tool or whether it's used for all the outside of your home or outside of the place that's being haunted to keep unwanted spirits from coming into your home. Right. Now, mind you, the Queen Mary is located in the ocean where it has salt water surrounding the whole ship, which, of course, is the salt water there. It crystallizes, and it becomes what? It becomes some kind of, conductive maybe on it. And so I asked him, I said, I don't really hear anybody mentioning the fact that this ship, that the ghost that could be stuck on there is stuck because the fact is it's surrounded by salt water.
That is a tremendous thought, Tuesday. I don't believe anyone's ever thought about that.
I have never heard anybody talk about it either, Angela. And so I just put the food for thought out there and said maybe this is worth looking into and to see if really that you can get some more information on if this is the fact. Is that, here in history we've all been asking, why are these ghosts stuck on the ship? Maybe because of the salt water that surrounds them. So who knows? Maybe who knew? If it was that easy, oh no. I feel bad for disclosing that because it takes all the fun out of guessing why.
Well, maybe they need to dock that ship for a few days or a few weeks and try it again.
Yeah, I mean, oh my gosh, will that ever happen? But it also too, just to get a giggle out of this, I thought, maybe anybody who has ever died out at sea ends up back at the Queen Mary. I mean, maybe that's where they're supposed to, go. It's the holding cell for everybody or anybody, whether you've drowned, whether you've had an accident, whether anything in the ocean. I mean, it's just there is a huge amount of activity on that ship. I can't say that it's one of the most haunted places in the world. I don't know because I haven't been to all of them, and I'm sure that they're really gaining on us. I mean, there's a haunted, something's haunted every 10 feet from each other. I mean, it just seems there's more and more that people are reporting that they're having hauntings. I know that Sid Schultz was telling me earlier that and I'll let him announce this exciting information, but that they have increased on their cases that they've been getting left and right. There's always somebody that's calling every day for a haunting.
Well, I believe that there's a lot of activity going on out there, and people are rather reluctant to open the door. But then again, we have those individuals now that are coming forth because of, radio shows like this and television shows and cable programs and things of that nature that is making it a little bit more common these days.
Oh, you know what? You hit a good you hit the nail right there on with the hammer there, Angela. The TV shows. Everybody wants to be on TV for that aspect, which is okay. They make good entertainment, and they make, a lot of them are very informative. You can learn a lot of things about them, but they are very popular.
Yes, absolutely.
So, I mean, and I just wrote a blog. In fact, I released a press release on Steven Spielberg and his little community that he has, that he's, as we talk, that he's creating with it's supposed to be a paranormal community where people can go share their stories. Mm-hmm. He had one event of a ghost, which he was at a hotel, and I didn't disclose about what actually happened to him, but it said that within 10 minutes after having an event with a ghost, that he packed his stuff and went running. So,
right. Oh, that's funny. Well, it's a good thing that a person in his position is really opening the door to a lot of people.
Okay, we can look at it as that aspect of it, though, Angela. Okay, we can take it as that. And, we lost Charlton Heston yesterday.
Oh, I know. I heard.
Charlton
Heston. I was so sad to hear that.
I mean, he is like the total king of TV, movies.
Absolutely.
I know.
Just love him.
I mean, we sent out our love and prayers to his family and know that he had made a huge impact in everybody's lives who has ever watched any of his movies or his TV shows. So, blessings to you, and your safe trip to on the other side. And, that it is a loss. It's a great loss. I didn't hear about it until today, and I thought, oh, man, he was really cool.
I know.
Very cool. So, we lost a big one. That was a big one.
Yes, for decades upon decades. And, not only in the movies, but he, has been instrumental politically as well.
Yes, he has. Absolutely, yes, he has. So it was, it's a great loss on it. And so on that note, we're just about ready to go to break here. And when we come back, we will have joining us Sid Schultz of Pasadena Paranormal Research Society. And we'll be back in a few.
Okay, I'll be back.
And welcome back. I'm Tuesday Miles.
And I'm Angela Thomas.
And joining us today is Sid Schultz. He is the director of Pasadena Paranormal Research Society, located in Long Beach, well, in Pasadena, California. I was going to say Long Beach. It's Pasadena, California. Sid, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you for having me back.
You're welcome. Glad you came back.
And again, thank you for mentioning Michael and Marty. Marty is very sick. She has walking pneumonia. She's in bed. Michael has his hands full trying to keep her down. So thank you very much for mentioning that.
Oh, absolutely. They are with Spirit Art. We've had them on the show also, and they're also members of your team.
Yeah, they're a big part of our team. The question you guys want to ask, I'll mention that later.
How many members do you have on your team, Sid?
We're looking at about 15 members.
15
exactly.
members.
Yeah.
And each one has their own specific duty that they do with you?
Yeah. Each member does have a duty, and if I had, each one, if I didn't have them, the team wouldn't be as solid as where we're at. Tricia is my wife, which is, she is the case manager. She makes the phone calls, takes the calls. Gil and Dora. Gil is my co-founder. Dora's his wife. She's our interpreter. Obviously we live in L.A., so it's not just English that's being spoken. So you have a lot of Hispanics, and she deals with that, so we're able to interpret. Because the question is always, do they always speak English? No.
You know what? We've never brought that up before, Angela.
No, we haven't. And, we need to recognize that there are a lot of individuals that speak second languages, and Spanish being a large language in the United States.
Absolutely. Good choice on that one, Sid.
Yeah, so she always wondered what her job was, and she just did it naturally. I said, that's your job, you're doing it. She goes, oh, okay.
Cool.
Dawn Shy.
Okay.
She's the basic reason why you can go onto our website and our MySpace and see all the videos. She's our documentarian investigator. She's the one that does all the hard work on our cases. She logs everything. Dennis Liang. We call him Data because we think he built himself. He is the backbone of our team because of the technology he keeps trying, and more or less experiments with equipment to try to, use it for the field that we're in. And Dennis has a new tech assistant. His name is Tim. Melinda, which is actually a big part of our group, she is a PI. She's a private investigator.
Okay.
So she helps does a lot of our research and gets some answers that we're looking for. Kendall, which is a crime scene investigator here in Los Angeles, another big asset to the team. She's the one that lays the guidelines down for us on how to approach investigations, follow police protocols and reports. Roberta is our AA. She's my spell checker. Boy, do I keep her busy.
Absolutely.
So that's and we just got a new member, which you may know her, and we worked with her in events, and we were trying to add a couple more people to our team because we're wanting to make 2 teams now out of what we have. And Diane Rule is a now new member. She does have experience. We worked with her in the past, and she's now have joined the team. Lori Fernandez is a big reason why you see a lot of graphics in our booth. She created him. She drew him.
Oh, great.
He's our logo, and all our graphics and stuff on there. She's getting ready to take over the website. So it's Lori Fernandez. She's also an investigator, but she's a big part of what holds up our website.
Oh, great.
That's. I know I'm going to forget somebody.
Okay.
So
Big team.
That's our solid team right now. And Gil's big job is he's a pest control. You know, when you hear people say, "Well, I hear scratches, I hear footsteps," like this. Well, he's a certified pest control. Goes in, checks to see if there's any varmints in the house.
Wow, wow. Sid, how long did it take you to collect such a solid team?
It took about 6 months. I did it through Meetup.com, and basically we had 60 members that we were screening. We let everybody know up front that we're looking for specific people with certain talents that we need in order to give clients the exact answers that we're going on and basically try to eliminate any man-made sources.
That's great. That's quite a team. I was not aware of all of their, what each one of their credentials were for on your team, and I have to say, Sid, that's quite impressive.
Yeah. Oh, the other person I forgot is Amy M.
Oh.
She's she's our psychic counselor. She's the one that actually goes in and helps. Just if we run across people that say that there may be more activity in the house, or if they're sensitive or anything like that. So she goes in and she works with them on that aspect. We have Amy T., which is actually a licensed marriage and family therapist, and helps screen a lot of our clients to see if there's any kind of other problems inside the marriage or family that could be contributing to the activity that they're experiencing.
So, Sid, would you recommend for those people wishing to begin an investigative team to go through the process that you went through? Is there a particular suggestion that you may have for those entering into the field?
For those that want to get in the field, run. Because it is very life-consuming. It starts the hobby and your interest, and next you know it is consuming you, and you're trying to really find direct answers to the folks you're trying to help, and then you realize you don't have all the answers. So screening the right people and having the right sources on your team is going to make your team solid. I've tried to get experts in their field, particularly, to help when they go into the home, that they're going to be able to help the client out. So it takes a lot of screening, a lot of patience, most of all, because the hardest thing was to shut down my group of 60 people and keep 15.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely on it. And it's not for, on your team members, of course, maybe some of them being inexperienced, but, also, too, the dedication that goes along with being on a team. It really does. I mean, and I was saying to Angela earlier before you came on that it does take a lot of dedication. You've got families, you've got jobs. It's not cheap sometimes in doing this either.
No, it's terribly expensive. And friends and family, you have to remain, those have to stay first. Friends and family have to remain first in your lifetime.
Absolutely on it. Well, you've got lots of things on it. We spoke about the EMFs. You wrote and written. You didn't take the full credit for writing this blog, but you took some credit on and collecting all the information together. And I want to compliment you on this. This is what I'm talking about. When you're writing a blog, you know what I mean? Information. And oh my gosh, on this blog that you've written, and you can actually find it on. So what's your MySpace, Addie?
It's www.myspace.com/PPRS team.
Yes. So if you go in there, mind you, look up his blogs because they're absolutely awesome. And you've written this one about EMFs.
Yeah, actually, I did a lot of. This is research I did many years ago, about 6-7 years ago, and this came up a couple years ago, and I keep researching it. It's just important to know your equipment. You have to know your equipment inside and out, and you have to know what you're looking for. And part of the things that we deal with are electromagnetic fields. So you need to know, what is electromagnetic field, and you need to know the dangers of electromagnetic fields. And that's just the beginning.
What are the meters that you use? Because you also make meters and you sell them, don't you, Sid?
Yeah, we've actually, it's the what's called the safe range meter, or everybody like to call it the K2. It's become very popular. Okay. And a lot of people have to stick a dime or shove a dime down into it, and that wears the switch after a while, or keep their thumb on it. And naturally, for everybody and all the skeptics, is, well, they're manipulating this button. So what we did is just, Dennis had devised and just put on a side on and off slide switch, which helps you to do something hands-free. So there'll be no more questions if you're manipulating or not.
And what does this meter actually read?
Well, it's an AC meter. It's alternate current. It's basically just reading household products and ground leaks. It able gives you to determine what the EMF levels, so electromagnetic field levels, are in the home.
And this is also recommended not even if you have ghosts. I mean, that ghost is a bonus, but this can help you. What could this reading do for you on helping you notice, your EMF spikes in your house?
For one side, it's just help. It's a good thing just to have around your house. I suggest everybody buy one and check the areas that you sit, you sleep, you play, you work, so that make sure the magnetic fields around you are not high. There's also a theory, that spirits give off energy, and since this is an energy magnetic field detector, and energy, the theory is behind this is it can also pick up that energy that the spirits are leaving behind. And it's also been used, I've seen, as a communicator, and that was part of the controversy. People were manipulating the buttons that they would get it to flash 2 for yes and 1 for no in communicating.
So, Sid, let me ask you about EMF.
Sure.
Is there a particular level that is detrimental to someone's health?
Yes, and through the American studies, there has been no documentation. Through the Swedish studies through EMF, there's actually a 2.5 milligauss and less is a safe range for you to be in. Anything else above 2.5 can actually start to become dangerous.
Ooh. So what are some of the things that can cause a high concentration of EMF in someone's home?
It can actually just be, old equipment, old wiring. Your computer, sometimes if you have an older computer or monitor is setting off higher, the milligauss more than 2.5, you're sitting in this magnetic field, and it can cause skin irritation. It can cause you headaches, upset stomachs. There's even been the fact that studies, they say that it can cause delusions. You see spirits, hear voices, you become closer to God. So you want to check a lot of, like your refrigerator, your microwave, and stuff like that in the areas where you work and play.
See, and I don't believe that people have ever thought about that before. Now, I know that Tuesday has mentioned a strong EMF even in her neighborhood.
Yes, she
and there has been a lot of accounts of individuals with various types of cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And so definitely, so on your website, are our listeners able to go to your website and purchase an EMF meter?
Yeah, actually right now we just ran out. But Dennis just got the new switches in, and we should have them in hopefully finished. Hopefully by the second week of April, they'll be able to purchase them right on the front page of our website.
Oh, super, super. Well,
Okay.
thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. So go over the other tools. I want to know about more of the other tools that you also use during an investigation there, Sid.
We like to call ourselves house inspectors.
House
If
inspectors.
anything, I've talked to actually a couple house inspectors to learn how, what a house is and it's made of and construction and, it's, so the tools that we need in order to try to eliminate some of the man-made sources where the people are hearing voices, seeing shadows, feeling drafts and cold spots. So some of the tools that we incorporate in it are the different kinds of electromagnetic fields. We have a tri-field. It's a single axle, but it's good because it actually sums up all the 3 magnetic and electric and microwave. Microwave we don't use so much. It's the electrical magnetic fields. We use the 200A, which is a good digital AC meter. It's also single axle, which means you just have to rotate it around to find where the leakage is coming from. And then again, we incorporate the K2 in and every now and then. We're doing different experiments with that that's still under review. But, then we'll incorporate the other stuff that everybody uses. We use, temperature gauges. We'll bring in, DVR system. We'll bring, we use the basic cameras, infrared night vision. We use ultralight vision, one of our new cameras. We're actually incorporating now the thermal imaging camera and spectrum analysis system, which lets us analyze the different frequencies that we're receiving, so we know that if we are actually receiving, it identifies the signal, whether it's cell phone or radio or military signals or an airport. So that helps us identify the frequencies or signals that come in when this equipment is set off. So that's
amazing. No wonder it takes a team.
Yeah,
just to carry all of the equipment.
It does. It does. It does take a big team just to set up the equipment.
Why do you think that there is something that registers off a ghost?
Well, this is something that I've actually talked to my medium about, and what kind of things that we should look for. And he said it is etheric energy. We're made of energy, and it's just trying to find the right frequency. Because he always says they have to come, their energy has to come to our level, and normally, psychic mediums have to raise theirs to meet in the middle with these folks that have passed, and they give off, a frequency or signal. It's just a matter of identifying it.
That's a big breakthrough on it. And this is credible documentation. I mean, the fact of it is that we can, with everybody else, using these meters, can actually compare. The fact is that, and we can now say that there is a connection between ghosts and spirits and the magnetic energy, the EMF energy on it.
Yeah, and this is the thing you guys mentioned a little bit earlier, starting a database. I know that Chris Fleming, a good friend of ours, is actually starting a database, and the problem is a lot of teams can't afford a lot of this expensive equipment. It's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
The equipment is so expensive, but they have such good hearts and want to do this. To be able to actually go into a location, record data, and then have another team in a location see what they get. If they're getting the same thing, then put that data out there for people to see, and have other teams that go in and try to record the data to see, eventually there's going to be a pattern. When you capture an electronic voice phenomenon, or what the EVP, on a voice recorder, are you receiving a frequency, or is your equipment going off?
Right.
Oh.
Excellent on that. In fact, I will post on the portal site. I spoke with some experts during the week and about EMF, and actually they have some software on their site that's a free download that you can put into your computer, although I'm not sure if the fact is that you have to have their meters, but what you can do is download the information. It's the meters that record now, and they record, whatever you're picking up on, and then you can download it into your computer, and then it does, actually, it makes a chart for it. So, I'll put that site on portal, and you guys can go look at it and see if that's, if it's compatible with what you have to use on it.
Yeah, because actually Dennis is actually working on, there's something out there now called the Paranormal PC. Patrick Burns uses one. It's the Pro Logger that he uses on his television show, Haunting Evidence. Dennis is trying to create one that has a little bit more range, because a lot of these you have to be in close proximity to work it. This one, ours is going to be about 250 feet you can be away from it.
Oh, good.
And it will be boxes that contain the sensors to be able to record this data right onto your computer and register it live and record the data in archives so you come back and compare it later.
Wow. Well,
amazing.
Making things easier for everybody, isn't it?
Right now it's under development due to the United States guys wanting $50 an hour to write the software program. We're looking for somebody that's willing to participate and be part of this project for free. It's very hard.
Oh, yeah.
But, I think it's now that we have filed to be nonprofit. Everybody asked, was nonprofit important? One, I think nonprofit for an organization is important because, you can get to know your local fire department. It'll allow you to borrow their thermal imaging camera for free.
Really?
Yeah.
I knew about that. I did know about that. A lot of times they have these older models that they no longer use. It's just thrown into a cupboard, and so actually you can check with them. They might be able to let you use that.
That's right. Get to know them very well. I mean, they're very interested in that kind of stuff, too. You run into the right guy.
True.
And, the second reason why it's important is it depends upon the research that you really want to do. I'm not, bagging on teams that call themselves research teams, but you have to be able to ready to try to reach out and see a team that's already organized, that are doing some research, and try to do their research also. Then you're able to apply for grants and funding.
And there is funding out there for this, isn't there, Sid?
There is tons of funding out here for serious teams that want to do research. So it's not just about grabbing the camera and voice recorder and heading out.
Absolutely,
it's
finally.
for the teams that want to collect real data that this opportunity opens up for to do real research.
I wonder if there's funding out there for the UFO, community also too, because I know that they're recognizing more of the paranormal aspects of it, but not the ufology part of it. So
it's not big here in the States. That door is going to open soon. I know over in the UK, it's the government's very much involved. So the door here is going to open up pretty soon.
Well, let's hope so for them, because there's a lot of people out there that have had experiences. Okay, next I'm thinking. Okay, so let's talk about this big ship you went on, not the Queen Mary, but the Hornet.
The United States ship Hornet. Yeah, that was actually an interesting ship. It has some history. I tried to do some research, and they really don't tell you that the fact that the USS Hornet was a part of the original bombing on Japan, but that ship actually was destroyed, and the new USS Hornet is that. So that one, when you research, it says it was part of the bombing, but it is not. The original one was. Yeah, we had quite a few experiences on that ship. I would say the biggest one that was fun for me was actually sitting up on the deck after 1 o'clock. Lights out. It's another story, but the lights were out. Nobody was around, and just sitting and watching the deck. A few of us just noticed the shadows that were moving around on that ship. It is an incredible ship.
Wow. And so you guys were there all day, all night?
Yeah, we got there in the afternoon, and we settled in, and our guides pretty much gave us the history of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, we settled in for dinner, and after that, they started taking us out on the different spots of the ship that had been known for paranormal activity. So it was interesting.
Is this a tourist ship?
I'm sorry?
Is it a tourist ship?
It is a tour. You can take tours.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I mean, if you're just into the history, if you're paranormal and you go into a lot of these places, you've got to be into history. Doing research of the history of a location is a big part of paranormal research. So you become a history buff, and this ship has tons of history. It's huge. So you can take tours on it during the day. They have what they call an overnight stay. We stayed on the ship, but the only thing they really didn't tell us is that we had to go to bed at 1 o'clock.
Oh.
Yeah, they forgot to mention it because we misinterpreted their version of lights out. To a paranormal investigator, lights out means lights out, you get to investigate. Well, later we came to find out lights out means you've got to get in your bunks and go to bed. And they do basically overnight stays with the Girls and Boy Scouts.
Oh, man.
So they were more or less along that line to do that tour, and that's what they tried to do to us.
Yeah, that would be, and the fact of it is that, you don't get your ghosting hour until after a certain time anyway, so a lot of times.
Yeah, some people think that it's good to always do it in the darkness, ghosty hour, but I've ran into, experiences, day or night, so.
Well, was there a certain part of the ship that you felt there was more activity in?
I would say it would be what we call their hospital.
Okay. Wow.
There seemed to be a lot of activity. Sick hall. It was 71 degrees when we walked in, and people were registering 71 degrees. And then Don Cheyenne asked specifically, is it possible you guys could lower the temperature in this room? The next thing we know, the temperature started going down. We checked the thermometer in the room. It said 70, and then when we back, it kept dropping. It went all the way down to 60. We went and checked the thermometer. It said 60.
Oh, my.
So the temperature dropped in there. Whether it was, have anything to do with the spirits there, we don't know. But somehow the environment dropped 11 degrees.
Now, is this above water level, or was it below water level?
This was above water level.
Okay.
This was above water level.
Did you get a chance to go below water level?
Yeah, we did. We did get to go to the lowest part of the ship. We didn't get to stay there but like 15 minutes.
Okay, not long.
So it's one of the things when we went through on the tour. Like I said, they gave a lot of history, and by the time we were ready to start investigating, they were ready to move on to the next location.
Okay. Well, maybe the fact is that they just don't have enough, paranormal investigators being out there to, show them the protocol what you guys need.
They're learning. I think they need to learn a little bit more, but they're learning to cater to the paranormal investigator. But they're so used to, the average tours to go through. They just want to hear the history and move on.
Right.
Oh.
Right. Well, that seems like you guys need to go back out there again.
Yeah, we're talking to them to see about a paranormal aspect to getting the group out there for a private session. The government controls it.
Oh, okay.
It's still just because it's been decommissioned. is still in the government control. So they're very nervous about lawsuits and stuff like that, people getting hurt on the ship, because there is a lot of dangerous spots on that ship, worse than the cargo hold, the Queen Mary, with the open floor at the very bottom. So,
So, Sid, have you used Frank's box yet?
I have been witness to that.
And what can you tell us your experience with the Frank's box?
I've had a couple experiences with the Frank's box. It's interesting. I think people interpret what they want to hear. I think not enough with this box has been done yet. True experiments haven't been done with this box yet. I did a session here with Bill Murphy with PSI out here in Southern California. He calls him PSI, but I think a lot of people may know him out here because he does the Darkness Radio events. He actually has a Frank Sumption box. He met Frank Sumption. So he has one of the original box. He doesn't have a Hack-a-Shack or the other ones. There was one session we were actually sitting there, and I did hear it called Bill's name several times. It always seems like the box will want to know, talk to the person that is in control. My wife got on there, particularly started to ask for a loved one of a friend of hers, and it seemed to respond. The next thing she goes, "I love you," and then we all heard, "I love you too."
Oh.
Yeah, it was it matrixing? Was it something we wanted to hear? I don't know, but that was really unusual. And I think some experiments need to be done on this, where we'd like to ask the box 10 questions. Everybody will write them down. They want to say it out loud. And then they'll pass it on to a different group, where they'll play the recording back, the 10 questions that were asked, write down what they hear, and then ask the same 10 questions, and then ask their own 10 questions, and then move it on to the next group. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. That's a good idea.
So just to start to get an idea about this box in a controlled environment, just all the experiments that I've seen with it have been very open. People are repeating what it's saying or think that they're saying. So I think it'd be a good idea to get a group together and everybody write down what they think they're hearing, compare later on. But it's research, experiment.
Yeah, absolutely on it. Speaking of groups, did you want to make an announcement, or you want to save that for another time?
Which announcement? Oh,
well,
big one?
I think it's an exciting announcement.
Well, yeah, actually it is very exciting. We are now an extension of the TAPS family. We're assisting the group Pacific Paranormal, which is a TAPS family member. They've asked us to come in and assist with some cases, being that they're the only Southern California division of TAPS. So they've asked us to come in and assist with cases on them. So we're a sister team now. We're helping them out, and it's very exciting.
What is their website?
PacificParanormal.com.
PacificParanormal.com. Okay. We'll post that on the portal site too.
Might be Pacific Paranormal Investigations.com, but they are on my very front page of my MySpace, and all their information is there.
Okay. That is exciting. TAPS is all over the place.
Yeah, it is. Actually, it's very exciting. And as a matter of fact, I don't know if you just heard, they branched out. They are now, Beyond Reality Radio is now doing their own events. Jason and Grant are doing their own events now.
Oh no, I did not hear that.
Yeah.
That's Grant Wilson
they
and
are
Jason
still
Hawes.
with Dave Schrader. They are still doing the Darkness Radio events with Dave, but they're also going to be doing their own. So people that are fans of the TAP show, the Ghost Hunters and stuff, can actually get involved, get out there and see these guys, meet them. And
well, that's terrific.
What did you think of that Queen Mary, Sid, on this last event that they had there?
I love the Queen Mary. I want to move there. I want to live with the Queen Mary. I want to set up my equipment, not go away. I think, the one question that you were wondering about whether, if the salt may be keeping them in. That's a question. That's a good question.
Yeah.
That really is, because that raised my eyebrows. Like, oh yeah, I never really thought about that.
Hello, hey there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the only reason I love that ship is I think I've had 2 personal experiences on them, and one of them was a full-blown apparition. I call it a full-blown apparition because during the incident, I just couldn't find the person I was looking for in a secure area. It dead end, and there was nowhere to find them. They were gone. So I've had some pretty cool experiences upon the Queen Mary, and Dave is one of the best in the business, if not the best MC I've ever seen for hosting these events. He'll reach out to every single guest and make sure that they get involved. But the Queen Mary, I believe, is phenomenal. I think there's definitely some unexplained activities that are going on there, and maybe even sometimes, explained, because you can't explain them. They're outside the realm of normal. So what are you left with? Paranormal.
So you didn't think the energy itself being all in that one room, if they had the event on it, that didn't affect you at all?
The energy?
Well, I know what I'm talking about is because it took me 3 days to get to sleep after I left there.
I slept like a baby because I couldn't, while you're there, you can't sleep.
Oh, okay, so is it just because you're so excited and you're busy doing everything?
Yeah.
Or the fact is it's because there's so much energy on the ship?
I think it's due to our team when we're there. I think we get so excited about what we're doing. We get into these investigations, getting to check the ship, meeting the people. The next thing I know, it's 6:30 in the morning. So as soon as we get home, Trish and I look at each other and it's like, turn off the phone, we're dead for a day.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then we get up and start going through a lot of evidence we didn't go through on the ship. So.
Right. No, I wasn't on the ship 24 hours. I mean, I was just there Sunday and Tuesday, and it wasn't until Tuesday, actually, after I had been there from, I don't know, about 1 o'clock until, and I didn't get home until about 11:30, 12 that night. But I know that, you have this extra energy that you kick in sometimes when you're so overtired. Mine kicked in tenfold, and it took me 3 days literally to get to sleep, to get myself to really fall deep sleep. And I thought, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Is it my fault? Did I not, and here's that rule of thumb with, us clairvoyants. You got to protect yourself in whatever it is on it, and I absorbed too much of it.
I believe that you're very open. I think you're susceptible to a lot of different things. Got to get you to learn how to close that filter.
Yeah, it's working there. It's working on progress and stuff on it. So, well, that's good on it. So, I want to know what else is new with you, Sid. What do you have any new? You have a new case that you're working on right now that you're.
Yeah, actually, there's a lot of things that are going on. One of the things that we're involved in is with livevideo.com. Pretty much like Ustream, there's also a guy out there that's running off livesci-fi-tv.com. Livevideo.com is wanting to do a paranormal live video webcast around the team, and they've asked us to be that team. So we're starting to get ready to do that. On April 19th at 7 p.m., we're actually going to be doing a live interactive ghost investigation or an investigation right there at the livevideo.com studios. Now, I don't want to tell anybody of the history of it. It's one of those things you'll have to tune in to find out, but I can tell you it is an older building in L.A., and it does have some history.
So now, when will you be putting this together, and when do you anticipate it airing?
It will be live April 19th, right on livevideo.com.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And you're going to put this on your website?
We're going to put this on our MySpace and blog it out to everybody so they can read it. But it'll be, our channel is Specific Paranormal. That is our what we call channels for we broadcast. And then Star Power is Live Video's main channel, and that's who we'll be broadcasting through is Star Power, their main channel. So if people will be able to come in, there'll be a chat room. People can interact if they hear or see anything or ask any questions. And then they'll be able to watch the investigation as we go through. We're going to, we're going to more or less interview some of the people that work there, get their experiences that they've had when they work there late at night, get some history of the building.
Okay.
Michael and Marty, if they're feeling well, will actually be also doing a walkthrough of the building.
Oh, great.
So, and that'll be a big part of it. And then we're going to set up some equipment, go through our stuff, and try to. I like what Patrick did. You mentioned last night that he did that live webcam thing. I love that. That's something that we want to do too. Is the fact to do it right on the live video is going through and how to, download your EVP and clean them up a little bit. So
right.
we're going to do
something. I found that very exciting, and people such as yourself are offering, live video to paranormal investigations, and hopefully you will come out with some type of instructional video as well for those people that wish to enter the paranormal investigation side of things.
Right.
Sid, let me ask you, I'm so curious to know, out of all of the investigations that you've done, what has been the most memorable or the most fantastic that you've come across?
It was a case that was out in Whittier. It was dealing with a family. When we first arrived on, when we received their email, they were pretty much seeing, feeling, and hearing everything. So when you get a call like that, it's like, okay, we have to at least talk to these people because, you know, they're the ones that are experiencing them. After interviewing them, we set up an investigation and headed out. We did our readings. It blew my EMF detectors pretty much off, just maxed them out.
Wow.
They were reading, at one point, the 200A was reading about 199.9. And when you should be a natural safe range is 2.5 milligauss, not 199.9 milligauss in the air. So I panicked a little bit to myself and pulled my co-director, and I said, we need to talk to these people, and they need to call Edison immediately to let them know that they'd like them to come out and just check out their house. Because, you know, it's an older house. You know, present it to them very calmly. So they understood that very well. Edison came out and pretty much told them that they were surprised that their house didn't burn down.
And oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Because of the high EMF?
Off the charts EMF, just ridiculous. It was an older house. It was grounded all wrong, and it was one of the homeowners was actually emitting 50 milligauss.
Mm-hmm.
So it pretty much could be 50 watts. I mean, he almost could have lit up a light bulb. They were worried about him, and he went to the doctor to get a checkup, and he was fine. So they fixed the stuff, and we, you know, they did that. And when we went through our evidence, we said, wait a minute, you've got to hear these EVPs. There's some EVPs that are phenomenal, and they are on our website. One particular one is that one of our investigators went, so do you like it here? Do you like the things that are in the house? Do you like being here? And it's in Class A EVP. It sounds like an older gentleman goes, no.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
They creep
Well, we
me out.
thought, we know we had the house secure.
Right.
You know, there was no radios, there were no TVs. So we had that one, and
That's
particularly caught our interest. So when we got back, we checked the EMS. To us, it was still a little high because Edison told them to fix their box out back. They fixed the box, but the company actually said Edison inspected it, and they did not. So the EMS was still very high in the house, so they made the company come back out and fix it. So
And did
came
that
back
help?
to the second investigation to go through our evidence, and we found a couple more electronic voice, some more EVPs. And we were particularly one we were asking that, and I have earphones. I like to wear earphones so just in case I can hear that, you know, hear them respond, so I can actually try to help them. If I hear "help me,"
Right.
But I was asking specifically, okay, the energy that's here, if you're drawn to it, where are you coming from? And then it was like 2 beats, and you hear it from the house across the street.
You're kidding.
Yeah. So, and we went through that. And we're presenting the clients this evidence. It's that, you know, does it say there's spirits in your house or ghosts is haunted? No, we're getting something. There's something that we need to keep investigating here. So we went back a third time, and the third time EMFs were fine now. I went in the back room, and I was trying to talk to anything that might be there, and I said, well, is there anybody here that the client, you know, that these people are seeing and feeling? And I heard a girl's voice say yes. And
You heard it in your
when
outer ear, or you caught it on EVP?
I caught it through my ear, in my earpiece, my headphones. And when you play the EV pack on our site, you can actually hear me go, yes? Because I heard it. And I said, okay, do you need help? And she said no. So it seemed like she was happy that she didn't want help.
Huh.
So, and, you know, I thought, okay, I'm hearing this through the EV, so I had to play back and try to clean up. It's rather low. It's pretty close to a C, but my wife has heard it and other people have heard it, so that's why I've kept it. We set up some wireless mics, left the house so they would record a little bit. And you come back in, and when we're reviewing our stuff, well, we actually hear the client say on the EVP says, well, they didn't miss anything. We are dead. And then a little girl's voice comes on and says, well, the men are coming to help. So,
That is amazing.
Yeah, and that is also on our site. We know that you know, there were no children present. None. And the funny thing about it is that our psychic kept feeling that there was a child in the house.
Wow.
Oh, and
See, and that's what I mentioned earlier, that I believe a lot of teams should utilize intuitives because they bring in a new element, let's say, to the investigation. So let me ask you, Sid, have you ever been to an investigation where you have witnessed activity in the home or into a building and had to question it, or have you videotaped any sort of physical activity, like let's say a poltergeist activity, or chairs moving, windows opening on their own, etc.?
Well, I would say yes, I have experienced it. I think we caught one thing on camera. That was at the Stanley Hotel. It was myself and Chad Kulik of American Ghost Hunters were down in the basement, or the employee break room. And first off, we felt the atmosphere change. He saw a shadow. He says, I thought somebody was standing there.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just the whole room, the pressure of the room seemed to change. And I'm not sensitive, but I'm trying to open one of those things where you go in, you close your eyes and let your other senses open up, because it helps. You can feel energy changing when you just walk. It's like you walk into a room that's cold or hot. There's something about this room. We heard a moan in the back corner. We didn't catch it on the camera, but we did catch the footsteps. We caught a shadow that. Oh, then after the footsteps, the table slammed against the wall. We didn't get the table, but we got it on. You can hear it on camera because it pretty much freaked out Chad's wife, or Lori. That was her very first real evidence. She was a skeptic up until that time. And then both of us have got it, and his is better lightened than mine. I'm still working on mine, but you see the shadow that goes up and to the right. I mean, just gone. You can see it up and leave after it slammed the table. So that's on video. Chad Kulik has a better version of it than I do. We're working on mine. Yeah, I believe that happened. Another in a client's house where I saw my camera slide across the top of the microwave, probably about a foot.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't get it on camera. It just, unfortunately, it always seems like the good stuff happens when it's, the camera's not on. It's like
that's
playing with you. They
That's
know
true.
the camera's not there. The
What's
camera's
your favorite
display.
equipment on using that, though, Sid? Because if those of the listeners who go to your site to look at the actual equipment that you use, you have a humongous long list of tons of equipment, very expensive equipment. What's your favorite as far as using in the visual equipment?
The visual equipment we have a new camera that we just bought. It's actually going to separate the light and dark. You know how most cameras, when you turn off the light, everything's green?
Yes.
This camera is actually going to make it look like you're still in the daylight. It's going to be able to identify colors. It separates the light and dark. And it actually it's face recognition and objects that move. It marks objects. So it automatically puts it in archive.
Explain the
favorite piece
face
of equipment.
recognition. What is that?
I'm sorry?
What is the face recognition? What is that?
It's just something like Vegas would do when somebody walks in the door. It snaps a picture of your face and puts it in the computer. And then later on, if they want to use it to try to compare, if you've done something or spotted you somewhere, they can bring that up and try to run it. So it identifies you. So pretty much it's just basic recognition. We try to take, face recognition of all our team members as they come in for the camera. They'll stand in front of the camera so it'll get face recognition. So later on, if we think we have an anomaly, we can run those pictures, full body apparition that runs through. We'll take those pictures and see if they can match them up to the one that we're trying to identify.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, it's huge. It's a big help. I would say everything so far is debunked on our end from that part, just having that software in there.
You're going to be able to run your own television programs here.
There are people out there that say, everybody wants to be on TV, and this and that. You know why? Because these groups work so dang hard at what they do to help these clients. And when you get on TV, you get a little bit of financing to help you out. That's why people get excited about being on TV, because there's a little bit of financial help for this. There's a little bit of recognition. It's the hard work that they're doing. And people sit out there and say, well, they just want to be on TV. They just want to be famous. They just want this. They want that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't stop to think of, how hard our team works. Sorry,
That's very, no. You know what? That needs to be said. It absolutely needs to be said on there. That's true. I mean, the money doesn't hurt. I mean, not only that. I mean, just to make a living as it is, anyways, out there. But the fact of it is too. I mean, looking at over your equipment, you do have a lot of equipment. I've experienced on how much equipment you have because when you came in and sat up at my house, I was thinking, oh my God, there was cords everywhere. I mean, and this is the thing. By setting cameras up everywhere, it keeps it from the paranormal investigators to disturbing that area.
Mm-hmm. Well, now Dennis has this better organized, so there's not so much cables running around.
And that's Dennis Lang?
There's more equipment, less cables.
That's Dennis Lang, right?
What's that?
His last name's Lang. Dennis Lang?
Dennis Liang, yes.
Liang, yeah. He's a funny guy. He's got, I got to know Dennis a little bit more on it, and I would say he's a pretty smart guy, isn't he?
He's extremely smart, and I like having him on the team because everything with him is scientific aspect. What is the cause of it first? He never thinks ghosts. He never jumps to the conclusion that it was something, out of the norm. There's always an answer for something. And then when I seriously ask him, I go, what do you think of this? He goes, I don't know. Then I go, aha!
Well, Sid, we have a question in the virtual auditorium, and someone's asking if, how much of the activity going on can be alien activity. Now, I say this, Sid, because, I asked this question specifically from one of our members in the virtual auditorium because we've had a past guest on that insinuated that, spirit orbs and things of that nature may not necessarily be from spirits, but rather from another dimension. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, there's actually, that's part of our theory, too, and things that we're trying to figure out. Is it somebody on another dimension looking through? How does it not happen sometimes we feel that we go through a dimension and we're looking through and somebody looks up and says, it's a ghost. Oh, my God. Who says that that's not happening on this end?
Right.
Who says that the aliens, we're not being visited by aliens, that this stuff is not happening? That some of the activities, because we can't see what's going on. We hear things going on. There's movement. There's footsteps. Nobody knows what it is. You can't label it. So, I mean, there's always that possibility in that road, too.
Yeah, you're not kidding on that. I mean, and the fact of it is, it's not just one person claiming that, ufology stuff. I mean, there's 100,000 people out there that have had experience with it. So, I mean, enough to where we have to be aware of the fact is that, either or. I think that, at this stage that it's easier to catch a ghost on film than it is an alien on film, and hopefully that one day that changes, that we can recognize that this indeed what they look like and actually recognize the fact is that it could be having something to do with that. But
yeah, I think the U.S. government is being really close to being forced to releasing a lot of documents that are going to give the ufologists and
they need
the
to
people
help
out here the information and show the proof that that there is a biological entity out there besides humans.
Well, how stupid for us not to think that there is. I mean, if we're the only type of beings or species in this world, I mean, how selfish is that?
Exactly. I mean, we can't be the only people on one little planet with all these different galaxies. It's just virtually impossible to think about.
Okay, well, we're running short on time, so first of all, I want to ask, where can, let's do your websites out again. Give us the Pasadena one and the MySpace one again.
Sure, we're at www.pasadenaghosthunters.com.
Mm-hmm.
And then our MySpace, more than welcome to come up and be a friend of ours. We'd love to have you, is www.myspace.com/PPRS team. And then there's also, check us out at livevideo.com and just search for Pasadena Paranormal. And we'll be doing a lot of live interactive stuff on there, too. So, and you want to check out Michael and Marty at www.spiritart.com. We didn't get to talk to them about them much, but they're phenomenal.
Absolutely. Well, we've had them on, a couple times on the show, and they're a favorite of ours. And, I'm so sorry to hear Marty being sick. And so, again, everybody, take a moment just to send her a healing prayers because she could use it and on it. And, thanks for coming back on and sharing all this information with us, Sid. I learned a lot today. How about you, Angela?
Absolutely. A lot of information. Thank you very much, Sid.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me back.
You're welcome. Anytime. You know, you got something new and up and coming and you want to promote it, just let us know. We'll bring it back on.
Sure. Thank you.
You know, that's what we're here for, aren't we, Angela?
Absolutely. So livevideo.com on April the 19th.
April the 19th, and I will put a reminder on Portal about that, too, for having everybody tune in. And on that, that's the 19th. Wow, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, this should be a lot of fun.
Is there an interactive, there's a chat room for that, too, though, Sid?
Oh, yeah, right there. If you go to Star, it'll be through Star Power, their main channel, and it'll have live interactive chat right there.
Oh, cool. That's
You're able to ask us all kinds of questions during an investigation.
Well, that's great. Okay, guys, we're just about nearing the end of our show on it. Thanks, Sid, so much for joining us today, and looking forward to hear more things up on you, and I'll make sure I'll tune in on the 19th with you on it. And, Angela, anything else you need to add?
No. I think that he said it all for today's show, and God bless you, Sid. Thank you very much for coming on to the show and sharing the incredible amount of information. Again, his website is PasadenaGhostHunters.com.
Yep, and next week we have Donna on our show, who is an EVP specialist. She's also done, supposedly, we can't for sure say this, but we're going to keep an open mind, some communication with Natalie Holloway. And we'll see from there. And everybody have a great week. God bless. Take care of yourself and each other. Bye-bye.